Hey guys, Instructor Pilot Chris. I'm excited to be with you today and to unbox what I have here. Box is not as big as some of the most recent reviews that I've done, but that does not mean it's not as cool. It certainly is. As you can see, it is a UMX Night Vapor ready to fly. So I'll go ahead and I'll open that up. I'll be giving my review, but I'll also be providing my experience on how this transpired. I usually do not buy the ready-to-fly aircraft. I do have two transmitters, and typically I buy the bind and fly. I find that's convenient to buy the bind and fly along with whatever required battery. In this case, it's from Horizon Hobby. That's where I do purchase a lot of my aircraft. I will caution you when you place an order on Horizon Hobby, you got to really make sure that what you order is in stock. And it's not terribly obvious. They do a good job generally notifying you when the product is not in stock. But in this case, it was overlooked, and it's a small little status indicator below the name of the product. And so what happened was, weather here in Texas has been bad, and so I've been looking on ways to fly indoors, and there's always the simulator. You can do that. I started doing a lot of remote control helicopters, which has been fantastic. I really encourage you to consider that. But then I started thinking that I wanted to do more aircraft indoors, and I think what you'll find is if you want to do something like that, your options are very limited. But this product is amazing for indoor flight. You can also fly this aircraft outdoors as long as it's not windy. But what happened for me and what I recommend is, this is not a new product. It's been around for a while. If I were you, would make a list, go to the flying field, look around at other aircraft, and kind of make a wish list, just like you would with other products in life. Find out what you find is interesting, what you think would be a nice addition to your fleet. And so I do the same thing. And recently I bought the B2 because I had this, basically a list of items that in the future I wanted. And so in the case of the Flying Wing, there was a sale, a Father's Day sale, and so I took advantage. I knew I wanted that aircraft anyway. It was marked down, and so I purchased the aircraft. So anyway, what I would do is, don't just go to the flying field and see the coolest thing that somebody has and then immediately buy it at retail. Maybe have a list of different aircraft that you say, well, you know, one day I'll add this to my fleet. And so anyways, this aircraft on its own is something I've been thinking about for a while. And someone wanted to buy this as a gift for me. And so it was at the right price point. Let's see, it was the bind and fly, so it was about $99 or so on Horizon Hobby. And then what transpired is the gift was purchased for bind and fly, but the status was back ordered. And so after about a week, we were kind of checking the status of, hey, when is this thing shipping? Because usually Horizon Hobby is fantastic, and within 3 to 4 days of ordering, you get your product. So it was about a week, went on there and saw that, hey, this thing's not going to ship until November. And so I was like, okay, let's cancel that order. I don't want to wait until November. And then the next step, well, how can I get this more quickly? And so I started checking the hobby stores in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and we are very limited. I know that most of the country is. The mom and pop hobby stores have kind of disappeared, unfortunately. But we do have Hobbytown, which is fantastic. I'm happy that we have that. And we have 2 or 3 locations within the Metroplex. But for the product I wanted, which was the Night Vapor, they were all sold out. They did not have that. And again, back ordered until the end of calendar year 2026. And so I was like, man, I really am kind of bummed. Weather here has been bad. I really wanted to get this aircraft. So I've been thinking about it for quite a while. There was no financial incentive. It wasn't discounted. It was already very favorable on pricing at $100. And I was thinking, hey, I'd love to fly this indoors at a church. We have some friends, or I do know of a place that's an indoor basketball court. That'd be really fun. And so I was looking at different options, but I didn't have the product. And so then Horizon Hobby had a Father's Day gift card sale, and it was if you spent $100, they will give you $20 extra. So basically you get $120 of purchasing power for $100. And so I was like, hey, I know I'm going to buy more things from Horizon Hobby. I just didn't know how much to spend. But I did the $100, so I got the $120 gift card. And that was pretty easy. I bought it on, I can't remember if it was a Sunday or Monday, but the next morning I had 2 emails, one with the gift card amount that I purchased, and then the bonus amount came in a subsequent email. But within 24 hours, it was no issues. So not really surprised that worked as expected. This time I did not use an Amex. I continue to have problems with Amex on their website, but no issues with the Visa, so that was great. So now I'm sitting with $120 of gift card, and I'm saying, hey, what do they have on their website? And so again, just kind of looking through, I looked through the helicopters, and those are very limited on the options, unfortunately. I wish that Horizon Hobby would pick up a little bit more products. And then the products they do have, like I do have the Nano S3, highly recommend it. I almost considered buying a secondary one. Beyond that, a lot of the helicopters they have are $400 or $500, and they really don't have the variety that I guess that I would want. So then I kind of looked around at some of the cars that they have, and they do have cars and boats and other cool stuff, but my niche is really aviation. So then I went to the aircraft and started going through basically everything, right? And that included not only bind and fly, but the kits and the ready to fly. And so that's when I stumbled across, hey, they had the ready to fly Night Vapor. And I'm like, that's great. And it was $140. And so I quickly did the math and said, wait a minute, you know, I was going to spend, or I had already ordered the bind and fly for $100. I also bought the battery because those are not included with the bind and fly, so that was another $6 or so. And I was thinking, wait a minute, if I got the $140, I already had the $120 gift card for $100, and this one should include, I should say, the flight battery and a charger and the transmitter. And so I did the math, and for basically like $15 more than I had already planned to spend, I get the transmitter and an extra charger. So it was a no-brainer, and then more importantly, I just wanted the airplane. So I found a way to quickly get the aircraft. The ordering was uneventful. I was able to apply both of those gift cards, the $100 I purchased, the bonus $20 gift card, and then the $20 or so. I actually think it was maybe $30 more because I had to pay tax, like $10 in tax. Shipping was free per standard with Horizon Hobby with over a certain threshold. So the ordering process was fine. And then I got the thing within, again, 3 days. I believe it was FedEx ground, I believe. And I think the aircraft ships from Illinois, and here in North Texas is a pretty quick delivery. So I guess I wanted to point out a few things of, hey, make a wish list of aircraft that you think are cool and the reason why you want them. Because sometimes you'll buy an aircraft and you think it looks cool, but it really doesn't suit the mission or what you're actually trying to do. And so I really do have a defined mission. I want to be able to fly indoors for those cases or situations where the weather is horrific outside, and this meets that need. So define what you want, have your list of aircraft, and be ready. If they have a sale, take advantage of it. Don't pay full retail, take advantage. And then in my case, where you might have a new release that's hard to get, or in this case, it's been around for a while. I don't know if they had an issue with manufacturing or whatnot, but clearly they do not have new bind and fly being built and delivered until the end of this calendar year. But they still had stock of the ready to fly. So be creative, look at different vendors, whether that's a local hobby store. I always encourage you to go ahead and go to local hobby stores if that's an option for you, to try to keep them in business and keep them around. Go to the hobby towns, go to all those vendors, and then within your typical vendor that you're using online, I did not check Amazon. That could have been something I could have checked. But even within Horizon Hobby, originally I didn't even think to look at different versions of that model of Ready to Fly. But when I did make this order, I did realize they had something like 9 other models of Ready to Fly within their section there. So they do have several versions, both in the Ready to Fly and the Bind and Fly. But in this case, financially speaking, it was a no-brainer. So I'll go ahead and open up the package, and just right off the bat, no apparent damage to the box. As you can see here, if you're not familiar with this aircraft, it's a very, very lightweight, powerful aircraft that flies very slowly. And so it's high lift, high drag, and it's got these awesome lights here. And it's actually, the navigation lights are correctly positioned, just like they are in general aviation and in commercial airliners. That's kind of cool. But for that reason, you can actually see if it's flying at you or away from you. When you're just like the real airplanes, if you're looking at an aircraft in the sky, it's not always easy to tell which direction it's moving, and so we are trained to look at the position or navigation lights, and that will tell you, is it coming towards me or is it going away from me? So it's really cool that it's got these lights on here, and that enables you to fly at night. So I'll go ahead and, just one other thing here, I didn't realize that this is demonstrated. But it will tell you for this model aircraft, whether you buy the Ready to Fly, which I have here, I got everything checked, versus the Bind and Fly, and what is installed and what is not installed. So I paid the $20 difference between these two, from my original order that was canceled to the replacement order, which this is. And so what you see here is I have a transmitter that I now have that was not included. I have a battery and a charger. So all those items I have for just very minimal additional funds. So I'm just thrilled. This worked out really well. Okay, so it appears that I don't see any obvious damage here. I will be very careful opening this, and as I've said in prior videos, don't rush this. This is very fragile. The aircraft are designed to be structurally secure and well built for their purpose, which is flying. But in terms of dropping things or yanking on them, they are not built for that. Do not rush and then accidentally cut through very fragile aircraft. This feels like a very thin, like monocoat or a plastic surface that I imagine you could cut through very easily. So I'm going to be spending a little extra time here to ensure that I don't break this thing just trying to access it. I'll go ahead and I'll just slowly pull out everything here. So I can figure it out later, but we got some micro screws here. I got 4 miniature screws. This is cool. They don't even make you have to buy transmitter AA batteries. They're not name brand. They're not Duracell or Energizer, but for now this will work just great. I'm sure they're adequate, but it's nice that I don't have to go find AA batteries in a drawer somewhere that's included. That's pretty cool. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So what I was suggesting in my first comment, when I bought the Bind and Fly, I had to buy the battery, and it's not much money, but my point is that when you buy a Bind and Fly and you have all the extra accessories, that sometimes that purchase is the same or more than the Ready to Fly version. So for this battery, I had this ordered with the Bind and Fly, but it's included here. And again, it's not much, it's like $6. More importantly, I didn't have the forethought to order another charger, and that's what's really great, because I now have multiple aircraft that use this battery and similar micro connectors, but I only have one charger for the micro. So now I can do charging of multiple at once, because I have other batteries and other chargers, the same ones. So I can go ahead and charge quicker now. So this is great having these on hand. And I'm going to be very cautious here. I really don't want to break this airplane. My box cutter has gotten a little dull on me, unfortunately. Probably cutting away from the wing would be a good idea. There we go. Okay. It is really fragile in terms of picking this thing up. It's just very delicate. How cool is that? So you get the little micro electric motor, you get the wheels. It is a tail dragger. There's no steerable wheels, but you don't need it. This thing gets airborne instantly and has a lot of control with the tail surfaces here. But you got everything exposed. You can tell that the design of this, everything was to keep weight, just absolute minimal weight. Really, really incredible. So you can see that the receiver is all exposed. You have the motors here, which are really the servo motors. Those are completely exposed. They don't have the casings. Anything like that just adds extra weight. And in order to build something like this where it flies very slow, very lightweight, you can't have the extra items on there, and frankly you don't need it. So obviously you're not going to want to fly this like some of the other aircraft where there might be some visible moisture. You don't want to get water in there at all. I'm going to be very careful storing this aircraft, always keep it in the box. I actually do that with all my models, trying to keep them from getting hanger rash. But it also has a very, very small wires that go on the leading edge, and this is what would be your LED. In this case, that'd be your red light and your green light. So it's got the wing lights already installed, and it must have another positioning light here. I'm not sure if that's red or white, but you can see the very, very small wire there. And it looks like that's probably, I think that's probably carbon fiber, but just really, really neat. Really, really cool looking airplane. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm really happy this thing arrived. At first I thought I was gonna have to wait until November, and I was like, man, I gotta start looking at options. I actually even, you know, I didn't think to go on Amazon. It didn't occur to me, but I did go on Facebook Marketplace and other sites, just trying to find someone that had this thing. So I'm super excited to have it. It looks really cool. And the timing's good because this week in Texas it's been blowing 30 miles an hour pretty regularly all weekend. We actually had an RC event that was canceled at a local flying field because of the wind. Nobody was flying at all. So there's the aircraft. I'm gonna try to carefully get this put down. One other thing I'll say, actually, I don't want to forget. So it would appear that this is where you put your battery pack. It's got a little bit of Velcro and your typical connector. I did see somebody on YouTube that moved this, and the purpose was they're trying to get the CG a little bit farther back. So that's just something to keep in mind. What that allowed that person to do by moving the weight back, the aircraft kind of sat like this in the air, and so it was a little bit more high alpha, required more power and battery to fly around, but it allowed to fly at a slower ground speed. So it's very similar to being kind of like behind the power curve, and that's part of your commercial training in Cessnas and whatnot. But by simply moving the CG back, that changed the performance dynamic. And even though this thing flies slow, what that movement did is it allowed the person to fly in their living room in a very, very small, guessing maybe 10 to 15 foot rectangle, and to do circles because the aircraft was even that much slower than originally designed. So very, very cool plane. All right, so I have a transmitter here. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get this with my box cutter. This might be more of a scissor item. Again, I don't want to break this thing. I don't know what else I'll do with it beyond flying the Night Vapor. Okay. All right, I was able to get that, just carefully cutting on it. Yeah, I'm not sure if they use this transmitter on other micro helicopters. I bet they do, and if that's the case, that actually might be really handy for me if I get another the Blade Nano S3s or something. I bet they do, because on the Blade it's a 3D helicopter, and it has the 0 setting where the main rotor does not spin, and then you have the 3D modes, and then I think this was like basically like emergency button or stabilization. So I don't know if this is the exact same transmitter, if it carries over, but I have a feeling it might. But part of me is excited that I don't have to do any programming. Not that it's very difficult to begin with, but if I can just power this thing on and have a plane ready to fly, that's one less thing to worry about. That's pretty neat. Looks like it's pretty well made. Nothing crazy. But maybe just again to keep this in mind, for an extra 15 bucks or so, I got what's in my hand here versus the bind and fly version. So to me, that's a bargain. Batteries come and go, but you have to buy one. This thing, having extra chargers is always a good idea. You just save a lot of time. I think this is probably my 4th or 5th little battery since I use these in my Blade helicopter. So the quicker you can do multitasking and charging, the better. Then you can actually go and maximize your flying time. And then, like I said, I need to research what else I can use this on. It does feel much more like a toy compared to my Spectrum, my metal radios. This is things. Having said that, though, it's still somewhat durable. It doesn't feel cheap. It just feels not as robust as my primary transmitters, like a DX8 or such. So anyways, I will go ahead and get everything charged, and I'll see if I can find a spot here shortly to do my maiden flight with this. Hopefully I gave you something to think about, not only with the different mission and purpose of what you're trying to accomplish when you buy a new aircraft, but also different ways to accomplish that in terms of how do you find that product. So please like and subscribe. I am trying to grow my channel. I continue to also look for cool products. So if you have any fun, micro is really my niche at the moment. I do like fast aircraft also, but at the moment I really like things that I can fly indoors. I might venture into like a small drone also with a camera. I think that's a lot of fun, or what I've seen online looks like a lot of fun. But the whole purpose of this is to have fun, to be aviation related, and just to have some entertainment. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.